Starting off
Petty.
Friday, real petty like, but it's okay because I get excited for every single Friday, man. Why do we get excited? Because every single Friday presents an opportunity to explore and interview extraordinary men who are doing extraordinary things inside of the community. Today, man, I get to have a conversation with someone that I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of great men that do great things in the community, right? Like my man Big Rob, you know what I'm saying? These guys, they have a similar dynamic when it comes to passion, when it comes to purpose, when it comes to servitude, when it comes to being a lover of their families, when it comes to accountability and strong leadership. My brother Les Thomas is not only a mentor that has done work in the inner cities, the juvenile that I just spoken about with Kojak. My brother has done a TED talk that is absolutely phenomenal. If you have not listened to it, I would highly recommend you go and listen to it. And my brother has also dropped a new book called Three Levels of Influence, brother. Brother, welcome to our Modern Manhood platform. We are grateful to be able to share this time with you. How are you
Yeah.
feeling right now,
What's
man?
up, man? Number one, man, it's an honor to be on here. I thank you so much, man, for bringing me on Modern Manhood, man. I'm feeling good, bro. I'm a little overwhelmed right now with the TED Talk releasing yesterday and the feedback I'm getting and everything, man. I just feel the love, and I'm super thankful, dude. Just glad to be with y'all this morning, man. Let's get it on this early Friday morning.
Let's
Yeah.
do it, baby. Let's do it.
Goodness, Friday mornings, man. What do Friday mornings look like for you usually? Because
I
this one was
dance,
an
bro.
amazing one, of
I
course.
dance Friday morning, bro. That's what I do. So like every Friday morning, man, I usually post a video. I hadn't done it yet, man, but I'm like, I always set the tone by showing something funny of someone dancing, and I put it on my story, say walking into Friday, like whatever. But a Friday for me, man, right now, with it being football season, I'm usually headed to Stillwater around 12 or 1 o'clock. I do a podcast there where it focus on the athlete and their life outside of whatever they're doing on the field or the court. So I go record that, man. I join all the festivities and we get ready for that game on Saturday. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, you
Yeah.
brothers bleed black and orange, man.
Bro.
Have you always been plugged in like with OSU like that? Tell me the history behind this.
So the history behind it, bro, 100, man. So I grew up in an OU house. My mom loved OU, bro. And going to Millwood, Douglas was our rival.
Hmm.
It was like we fought each other, but we was family and would fight against other people together, right? And I don't know if you remember the clip called Mac Pack, man, but
I
back in
do.
the
I
day,
was in MacPack. I was
that's
in MacPack.
yeah, you already
Yeah,
know,
7 footer, seven. Yeah, that's what's up.
right? So, first when I'm trying to remember my man's name that played tight end at Douglas and 95. He went to OSU, and then Marcellus Rivers was one of my best
Hmm.
friends, right? He went to OSU, and I played football with Rashawn Woods and Elba Craig. And so for me, what made me become an OSU fan, and I said, any school that would take kids from my demographics, where they try to say nothing good comes from, is a school I
Hmm.
can rock with. So honestly, that's how I became an OSU fan in the late 90s. Then I just rocked with them for a while. And then around 2014, I started working with the team. Every game day, I would come in and bring an inspirational word and do music. So that's how I got to like here. That's like the quick version. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So like I listened to the TED talk last night and I mean just this morning, and it was a great story of going from poverty, overcoming the nature of trauma to finding your own sense of uniqueness and being able to share that with the world. Like what is that like? Because not everybody has the same, we all have the same opportunity, but we don't always have the same outcome. So how do you feel like that came about for you and being able to create such an extraordinary impact?
Well, man, for me, man, it starts with my mother, bro. 100, man. My mom, man, I saw her get on her knees every night and pray for her baby boy and for her sons. And my mother always spoke to the potential over the problem. She
Mm.
always spoke to the king inside of me. She always said I was called to do great things. So that's where it starts at, for if parents are watching, man, it's a message and everything I say. So if his parents is watching, man, and your kid feel like your kid isn't, you know, reaching their maximal potential or doing the best, man, start talking to where you see them going, where you would like for them to be. And so that's where it all starts with. My mom started talking to my future, even though my current was a mess. You know what I'm saying? And so
Mm.
that's how the mess turned into a message. It started with my mom. Then I surrounded myself with some great mentors, bro. Like, I don't even think I realized what I was doing. It just kind of accidentally happened, man. But great people around me, because you are some of the circle of the people that's around you, bro.
Absolutely.
And so I've always lived the life of, I live by this, bro. If you want to impress people, you share your victories. But if you want to impact people, you share your flaws and your challenges in life. And so that's what kind of led me to the TED Talk of being open. Man, bro, you know, I could have talked about so much down there. Like I could have talked about hope. I could have talked about mentorship. I could have talked about, you know, racial tension. But I was like, you know what? I want to put my life on the table because I know that God has put me in a position where, you know, I have a small platform. And so for me, it's kind of like I want to use that platform to say, you see the ballerina floating across the stage, you see the beautiful swan, but her toes are jacked up.
Right.
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 You enjoy the outcome, but to get to where she could look like the beautiful swan
Ooh.
floating across the stage took some real work. And so for me, it's like I'm a person that I want to encourage people and influence people to do hard well. Because life is hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? Life is never
That's
going to get
powerful.
easy, man. Life is never going to get easy. The difference between good and great is those that learn how to do hard well. Come on, somebody.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man, it's one of
Yeah.
those questions that I
I
propose myself is how willing are you to do the hard stuff?
yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
real.
love your analogy. So I love your analogy when you talk about ballerinas. I do that a lot with my patients because there's equal power to the grace that some
Mm,
people move in, and it's important that we recognize it and see that. So I can definitely appreciate using that space to talk about it because that's the truth, man. They put in some of the hardest work that
they do.
any athletes, any artists do, and it's a sacrifice. Talk,
Yeah.
so I watched your TED talk last night,
Yes,
and
sir.
thank you. I thank you for your candid share, and
Yes, sir.
for for you really going back and taking us through a story of movement into this place that you're at. And that's something we don't always get. And you talked about that, how it's we see the fruits, we see the happiness, we see the peace, but sometimes
Yeah.
we don't see what brings us to those points.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to give away your story and where you took us on that journey because everyone needs to go out and watch this. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will say
Appreciate it.
that there was kind of a beautiful simplicity to the moment that was a pivot for you that you shared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get through all of the things that you've been through and that moment be it?
Well, because man, and in the moment I'm assuming that you're talking about is the moment in the car with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So, dude, like, here's the thing, man, and I'm gonna try not to get emotional, man, but you know, I made a decision when I was young and when my son, well, I say wife, but we was engaged at the time. When we had our son, I made a decision that I was going to try to be everything that I needed to be in his life. You know what I'm saying? I dropped out of college. I was going to Langston. I joined the Air Force because I was like, I want to be able to provide for my son now, you know? And I made a decision that I was not going to reciprocate what I went through and the challenges that I faced with my father, right? And even though my dad was great, man, but we just didn't have a close relationship. And so um in that moment, I realized I didn't fulfill the
Mm,
promise.
Mm.
it's the reflection, being able to see that in to be able to see that in ourselves. What is that?
Yeah.
Because that's the tough part, right?
Yeah.
We get on this horse every day with a
And
mission
this
of providing and giving to our
Yeah.
families, our communities,
and I think that
but it's the reflection, that part of actually looking at it and seeing it from the perspective of others in our lives, that's so important. Is
Yeah.
that something you've always had?
Man, you just stopped me from crying. Thank you, brother.
that's dope,
When you
man.
started talking, but you know, uh I can't say that well, I can say that that's something I've always done because uh early in my childhood, it was things that my oldest brother, some challenges that he had, and I was always the guy like, man, I don't want to go through those challenges, dude.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, dude, I don't want to face that, man. And so I've always looked at other people and I learned from other people. And I guess you can call that like reflecting, because when I reflect on other people's life and even my life, that's like where the joy comes from now. Like, a lot of people think that I'm a hype man, but really I'm a hope man. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
like reflecting, I reflect often because I'm thankful to be where I'm at. And I don't ever want to be like the children of Israel that was going through a
Man,
wilderness for 40
400,
years.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? When
amnesia.
the promise was right there, bro. Like the promise was like right there, but until their hearts was ready, until they could receive what was for them, they had to stay in the wilderness. And so, and even though God provided for them daily, bro, their clothes didn't wither away. They had
Hmm.
water, they had food. They weren't looking at none of that. They were looking at
Right.
what they wanted. And so I'm like, man, nah, let me be thankful for where God has brought me from, the things, the challenges that I've had to overcome. So in that moment, man, I just realized that I didn't fulfill the promise that I made to myself and to God. And I realized that I wasn't being present. I realized that I was living at home, but I wasn't living in the home. I wasn't intentional. But see, here's the thing. Like, I thought I was killing it though, bro.
Right. That's what I was about to say. Because even in your mind, you said you didn't want to repeat some of the behaviors that you had learned from your father. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that you was there and in your mind, you felt like you were still showing up, but it was a
Yeah.
totally different perception than how they viewed it. So
Yeah.
where did it come in? Like, was there tools that you decided to do? Like, was it counsel that you went into that you look forward to? Because even the dynamics of that is like you felt like you was really there and you was doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
What did the switch happen?
So the switch happened was, man, the switch would have been around two. Oh man. My first marriage mentor as a husband was Steve Alexander. And
Mm.
Steve Alexander was the first guy who taught me the principles of marriage and the order of life. Because here's the thing, at that time, I was doing God along with all the works that I was doing in the church, my family, and then everything else. And I learned through him that it's God, my wife, not even my kids, bro. It's God,
Hmm.
my wife, my kids, then everything else. And so through his teaching helped me get to that moment of realization, like, bro, your life is out of order. So, like,
Yeah,
just from me doing life with him, because I'm a product of being mentored 100%.
absolutely.
And so that's why the book is about that, because it's a blueprint on, like, this is what worked for me. I don't have all the answers, but this is what worked for me. So I
Hmm.
would say, was it an official counseling session? No, it wasn't that. But what I will say is that Steve Alexander did life with me every week, and he taught
That's
me life
awesome.
every week. And because of that teaching, I think that helped me in that moment realize, bro, you've been at home, but you ain't been at home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what helped me realize in that moment too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. There's a
We
quote.
have sight.
Go
I
ahead,
was gonna
D.
say
I'm sorry.
we have sight, but we don't always have, we have vision, but we don't always have sight.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And we that our the mechanisms are there. We're getting light and images in our head, but we don't really have the vision of what it is we're looking at and what it's
Yeah.
really telling us about our experiences. So that's amazing
Well,
to point towards that.
I was gonna say real quick, our parents from their generation, if a father was, if they were at home and they provided food on the table, roof over your head, clothes on your back, that was the only requirement. That means you were
Right.
killing it, right?
Right.
But here's the
Hmm.
thing, bro. This ain't the 50s. This ain't the 60s. This is 2022.
Mm.
Just like the NBA done changed, the NFL done changed. Some of the stuff we like, some of the stuff we don't like. But now what I realize is that those three things that many men have lived by before us is not enough now, bro. We got to do more. We got to do
Let's
more than
talk about that. See,
yeah,
because this is what our business, our nonprofit is all about. Is about equipping men with skills and tools to really show up as their ideal selves and build better communities. And
yeah,
so a lot of people have different spectrums of what they think masculinity should look like.
yeah.
So let's talk about more about that because the idea of what a man just showing up as a protector and provider is no longer enough in our time.
It's not.
So what does that look like in terms of like building a healthy and a great family, man? Because we have relationships, but we don't see a lot of relationships that's really thriving.
Yeah. Well, what I would say is, one, knowing the order. For me, it's God. For other people, it may be something else. But for me, it's God, and then understanding my wife and my kids. So to me, order is first, And the reason I say order is because if you don't have order in your life, how do you know what to prioritize? How do you know what to
Mm.
put first? And so for me, it's like realizing that my wife comes first, then my kids. And let me tell you why I say that, because a lot of times when people say family, we can get away with saying family, but at some point in time, my kids are going to be gone like they are.
Right, absolutely.
My kids are 21 and 24. So now I got to look at my wife the rest of my life. And if I didn't invest in her and only invested in my kids, you know what I'm saying, where would me and my wife be right now?
Right,
You know, so in a lot of times divorce is high after the kids leave the home
right.
because you don't have that distraction anymore. And so
It's
for me,
powerful.
it's like understanding that your wife is first and then your kids, and it's being intentional and it's being present. That's the thing, bro.
Yeah,
You can't just be there. You have to be intentional and you have to be present. Be present. So at that time in 2007, November 2007, check this out, bro. I was going to my son's basketball games. I was going to my daughter's dances. It's not like I wasn't going.
right,
I was going, bro. But
right.
that's all I was doing was going. I
Yeah,
wasn't there mentally. I
yeah,
wasn't there emotionally. Like here it is. I'm climbing the world of my life, the mountain of my life. You know, I'm at that time, I'm a Christian rapper. I'm traveling the country. I mean, shoot, man, we charted on iTunes, a national recording artist, all these different things. But what am I saying there right there? I'm me,
right,
me,
right.
me, me. I'm. And because I came from so much trauma and I'm doing good now, I thought that I made it, bro.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, I'm no longer the crazy husband. I'm no longer the crazy father. I'm
yeah,
doing all these things. I'm marking the box. I went to the game. I'm high-fiving them. I'm killing it. But I realized that it takes more than that.
yeah.
You know,
Man, being present is such a valuable skill and such a valuable tool, man.
yeah.
It can like exponentially increase the beauty of relationships by far.
By far, bro. Just being present. It changes everything. And so I did the whole, daddy daughter thing, taking my daughter out and dating her. Also, my son, what's up with his Steven Nelson, my guy Nelson. Steven was there through all those growing pains of my life. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? That's my dude. What's up, bro? But I will say, and then my son, taking him fishing and doing those type of things. It's just important, bro. We make time in a man's mind. We make time when it comes to business.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? That's our trophy. You know what I'm saying? The more I accomplish, the more it looks like, you know what I'm saying, I'm killing it in this world and the more accolades I get. But
Right.
bro, November 2007 changed my life where I said my family is my number one concern. My family is my trophy. My family is my greatest accomplishment. So I was like, all this work I'm putting into myself to climb the mountain of myself, I'm taking my family with me, bro.
Absolutely.
There's there's this thing that guys, and everyone's different, but there's this thing that guys do where when we're out in the world, we're out at work, we're in these opportunities to show up, and we show up as fixers,
Mm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
When you're in a business meeting, when you're in a business meeting, you're in there and you're having five, six thoughts at the same time
Yeah.
because they've just expressed a problem to you. And in your mind, you're thinking of solutions because you want to and you need to. You're being paid to, you're expected to
Yeah.
show up with the best solution. And so, our job so much in the world is to figure out the solution, present it quickly,
Hmm.
show it effective, and then pull it off as quickly and as effectively as we can so as to be successful. And we take that into our homes and into our
We do.
lives with our significant others and our children. And the first thing coming out of our mouths is how to fix whatever it is they're dealing with.
Yep.
And it's the opposite. It's the opposite of what our lives are asking for. Our wives are asking for, or husbands, if you roll
Yeah.
like that, and the spaces of those who want to spend time with us intimately. And I'm hearing that you made that shift from trying to fix it and trying to show up in that way, just in that way at home, to being more intentional about your time. And what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is your energy. How does that happen? Because I know a lot of us don't really understand that. We don't get that.
Well, I had to learn to lay my weapons at the door, bro.
Mm.
Mm.
This life that we fight as men is hard. It's challenging. The weight that we carry, the pressure that we carry every day, day in and day out, like you just said, problem solvers and trying to do all these different things. I had to learn that when I got to my door, I had to lay my weapons down, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so when I go into the house, I need to be that fun dad. I need to be that loving dad. I need to dance with my daughter. I need to play basketball with my son. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, like, what I've learned is like to kick wisdom. This is how I look at it in life. To answer your question directly, I'm a visual person. When you play pinball, right? You pull the lever back. We're the parents that pull the lever back, and that ball go wherever it want to go. That ball is boom, 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 boom. And what we are, we're the little bumpers on the side of the pinball.
I
That
like it.
if they go too far to the left or too far to the right, we just bat, bat, bat. We hit them and they go back, but they go wherever they want to go. I had to learn to allow my wife and my kids to make mistakes. And I had to be like real with myself and say, I make mistakes too.
Absolutely.
100. You know what I'm saying? So like the same grace I got for myself, I got to give to them. And so you're right, man. We're trained in our mind is just to fix everything. And I'm not saying that I was perfect by any means. You know what I'm saying? It's something that I live by. A lot of times we do get parenting wrong. We do, right? But here's the thing. I will never knock a parent for trying.
Ever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Trying. Like try. Like I tell my kids, I've been here's the thing, dude. Like, let me tell you something. I've repented to my kids. Like,
Absolutely.
I've literally apologized to my kids for my immaturity, my lack of understanding. As I said in the TED talk, I didn't have a blueprint for being a husband and a father. So we learned together. And I made a lot of mistakes, man. And so I had to ask my kids and my wife to forgive me. And the next thing was I had to forgive myself, bro.
Yeah.
You can't
Man,
just ask for forgiveness. You got to forgive yourself too.
I remember going through that with my kids. One of my daughters was saying that, like, I was like, why didn't you ask me? She was like, because you don't listen. You're always busy. And for me,
Mm,
that was like a what? And but I remember my wife also saying that. Did you know she said this? And I remember having to apologize and ask her, like, what does it look like to really show up for you?
mhm.
To really show up in a way that you feel seen and felt and supported. Because there's been times whenever I know my wife, they usually go to her for certain things. And
Yeah,
when her health wasn't the best, it
yeah,
was like, okay, y'all stop relying on her, rely on me.
yeah.
And that means that I had to be willing to accept whatever conviction that came with. But it
Hmm.
was the one time I had to really see myself in a clear light, not with all the flamboyance like we usually do, but actually the reality of it. Like, trust shows up whenever you make it an investment. And I can't expect that
Come
trust
on,
to be there if I was not investing.
come on,
Right.
man.
But the beauty of that conviction, and I love this because I learned to embrace imperfections, because ideally society does make it seem like we're only worthy if we show up with it all together. But man, there's
Mm.
so much beauty and wisdom that comes in the journey.
Yeah, man.
And when they get to go through it themselves, they get to experience the fruit. You cannot deny the fruit because you're going through it as a family, and they're harvesting the same exact sowing the same exact seeds that you're sowing in that moment in time, bro. So
Absolutely.
Pete, I want to get into your book, bro. I really want to discuss the three levels of influence, because this
Okay.
is mentorship changed my life, man.
Yeah.
Mentorship changed my life. Jim Rohn has this quote that I love, and it is, osmosis may be the only cure for mental deficiencies. And
Mm.
it's only because whenever you go through your environment, it shapes your psyche, neurologically, it shapes the way that your brain is wired. And as you start to get around other forms of individuals of development, they literally have life that they can bring to you that nourishes who you are in terms of development. So I want to talk about maybe what are some of the biggest things that you've received as far as mentorship. What was your journey into writing the book, and what is the impact that you want to see it have with other people?
Well, I would just say, man, I'm a product of being a mentor. My first mentor was Mr. Green. I was getting in trouble in the neighborhood. Grew up in Midwest City, and Mr. Green took a liking to this little skinny, big-eared boy. And I don't think I realized he was a mentor, but you got to think about back then, I was sitting in his garage with no cell phone. It's the 90s, bro, 80s and 90s. I was sitting in his garage for hours. And there's times like, it's not even like we would talk the entire time, but it's like I realized he has something that I needed. And I think I was giving him something as well, right? Because he didn't have any kids at the house. And I learned so many lessons while I was hanging with him. I learned he had a 57 Chevy that he would pull out and clean it every weekend, and I'm like, Mr. Green, your car is clean. Why are you cleaning it again? It looks good. It's shining. He was like, Boo, because everybody in my neighborhood called me Boo. He said, Boo, you take care of the things you love. Like, that's pretty simple. But guess what? I'm regurgitating it 35 years later, bro. It impacted me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I remember cutting his grass. He had immaculate grass, bro. Like, he act like his CNN and Fox was coming to do a special on his grass every day. And one time I asked him, Mr. Green, can I cut your grass? And he said no to me like 2 or 3 times. And I kept on asking, you know what I'm saying? Who could turn down this big-eyed boy just asking? So he let me cut his grass. This is one of the best, worst decisions I've asked. You know what ever happened in my life. Because when I was cutting his grass, he wanted his lines to be straight. And to me, the lines were straight. They were straight, bro. And he was like, no, the whole time he behind me, bro, he was like, you go to the left, an inch to the left, inch to the right. I'm like, Mr. Green, the lines are straight, bro. Like, get off me. He was like, no, they're not straight.
Interesting.
I wanted to give up. I wanted to stop. I wanted to quit. Mr. Green wouldn't let me quit.
That's awesome, bro.
He was like, Boo, you finish what you start. I'm saying this 35 years later, bro.
These are gems, y'all.
So here's the thing is like, so why did I want to write this book? Because it's people like Mr. Green, it's people like Minister Gray, it's people like Sergeant DeBose, it's people like Steve Alexander, the Stovall's, Pastor Charles Martin, it's people like that. Nick
That's
Smith.
my dog.
Yeah. It's people like that, bro, that has played a huge role in my life. And I said, man, this worked for me. Why would I keep that to myself and not share it with the world and say, hey, man, I don't have all the answers. However, if you're doing life alone, you are setting yourself up to fail.
Absolutely.
And so many men, because we taught to be strong, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We taught to be tough, that we try to fight things by ourselves. But last time I checked, the Avengers are the Avengers.
Yeah.
Thundercats are the Thundercats. You know what I'm saying? Transformers are the Transformer. They fight by themselves and they get beat up.
Yeah.
But when they mount up, what happened? So what I did was I mounted up in my life and I got good people in my life. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give the blueprint on what worked for me. You know what I'm saying? And get it out there. And so writing the book was tough, honestly, because I'm not a writer. I do music. And a lot of times people think like, well, if you write music, you can write a book, but that's 2 different worlds, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to write this book for like 8 years at the time. Ran into some people. It's a door that God opened up for me. Wrote this book. I wrote it actually, bro. I started writing this book in December of 2019. Awesome. And I finished it by, I want to say maybe February of 2020. Marcus Black and I started our book at the same time. He released his book. He released his book 4 months later. I released mine like 20 something months later, right? So but the thing is, it just wasn't time, right? And I didn't want to release a book just to release a book. I wanted to be impactful. I wanted to make sure that it conveyed my heart. And I had some challenges with it because again, I'm not the greatest writer in the world. I don't have a vast vocabulary and I'm not like, so, I mean, I just needed some help, and so what I did was they had this program where you can talk it into your phone. Now, if you let me talk, I could do that, bro. You know what I'm saying? So they had this little app or whatever. I talked it into my phone out the whole book. They helped me, structure the book. I talked it on my phone. They translated because talking is different than reading. So they translated to words. Now, I didn't have a ghostwriter. Don't be out here thinking that nobody ghostwrite for me, bro.
Okay,
No.
Drake, you light skinned too?
No, bro. Listen, bro. I'm from the 90s. You know what I'm saying? We from them days when can't nobody be writing your lyrics, bro. You know what I'm saying? Did nobody write this book for me? You know what I'm saying? But she did translate it into like read where you can read it versus hearing it, right? And so anyway, the journey was a challenge. You can see it took almost 3 years for me to get it out. It was important for me to release it on September 20th. That was my mother's birthday, who's no longer with us, but I just wanted to pay homage to her and give it out there, man. And so, 3 levels of influence. This is the best way for me to put it. I'm gonna put it like this real quick. When you're flying, let's say you're flying wherever you're going, you're flying somewhere. And let's say that you're flying and you have no signs. So imagine you pull up to the airport, you don't have no signs. You don't know what terminal you flying out of. You don't know, it'll Southwest, American, Delta. Let's say it's no signs, bro. But I got a destination. I have somewhere to be. But I ain't got no signs to tell me how to get there. Right? So what terminal do I fly out of? What plane do I get on? Where do I go when I get off the plane? A mentor in your life, bro, they don't tell you where to go. They don't tell you your destination. They simply help you get to your destination. They are the ones that give you the advice. They give you the wisdom. They drop nuggets. They're the ones that you could tell your idiosyncrasies to. They're the one that you could be honest about and say, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, or whatever, because we have to get our stuff out there, right? And so here it is. That first level, that's what it is. That's the mentor helping you get to your destination. The people right here at the second level, that's the one that's going with you to your destination. Like that's your peers, that's your iron sharpened iron. And that's a vital level, because that's where you discover your why. See, with your mentor, you're sitting at the feet of your mentor, but right here is where you discover why you believe what you believe, because that's where all the friction is at. That's where your friends is going to argue with you. And not only that, your friends, they're going to see who you really are. Yeah. Are you being a jerk to your wife? Are you being a jerk to your kids? Like, they can really speak into your life on a different level, because your mentor only know what you tell them. At this level, at the second level, they know who you really are. Right. And then the third level is everything you learned at the first and second. It's imperative that you pass it on. It's the gift that keeps on giving. In fact, we've heard before that you retain more or learn more when you teach. Right. Absolutely. And so here's the thing is, why wouldn't I pass on what I learned? Someone helped me, so it's imperative that I help someone else, man. So that's really, the book is just about mentorship, some of your surroundings, putting good people around you to help you get to where you'll hit your goals and your dreams and wherever you want to be in life.
That's powerful, man.
Appreciate it, man.
That is powerful.
Appreciate it, man.
Like the question.
Tell me, in this space of mentorship, because it's, just like when you are looking for a house, you're not always going to find exactly what you need in your first or second or 15th try. Yeah. Were there any experiences that you've had on the journey where you recognize, this mentor might not be for me, or maybe not for me right now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's an intimate question right there, bro. Yeah, because that's real. It's times where, mentors can be seasonal. Mentors can be seasonal, and you have to be okay with that, right? It doesn't always feel good and doesn't always feel great, but mentors can be seasonal. Or you can also realize that, the way that you don't ignore the check. If a mentor is in your life and you feel like, man, this is not the one. Now, don't run away because it's challenging, because it's hard. A mentor should challenge you, right? But a lot of these mentors that I mentioned in my life, they're not mentoring me now. Right. And so here's the thing is, one thing I've learned is many mentors in our life is to help us to get to a certain level. Right. And then the next mentor comes in and helps you get to the next level. It doesn't mean that one mentor is better than the next, but every mentor has different tools, different gifts, and different things that they're really great at. Right. And so you have to be okay with understanding that this or that mentor may not be in your life forever, and move on to the next person. Right. I mean, like, it's not always easy, because that's a a relationship that you've really gotten intimate with and that you really love. But it's rare that someone has the same mentor. Well, I say this, some people got the same mentor for 30, 40 years, but it's rare that that's the only mentor.
Right.
Most mentors don't be with you for 30 or 40 years.
Right. Yeah, it also depends on the nature of your journey as well in terms of
Yeah.
development, man. Because I've met a lot of people, and sometimes, man, they may not even be perceived as mentors, whether they're just speaking life into you,
Yeah.
whether they just have a different perspective, whether it's podcasting, whether it's just audiobooks. There's a really great book called The Art of Mastery by Robert Greene.
Hmm.
And man, he talks about how mentorship used to be the pinnacle of development. In
Yeah.
early like 1900s, there wasn't really like you usually had like a on-the-job training, and it was usually like a mentor. But people like Picasso, Oprah even has like 7 mentors.
Yeah.
When I seen it, I was like, Oprah has 7 mentors. She has a mentor for every spectrum of well-being in her life, from financial to spiritual to health. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
to imagine just having, if a person of that magnitude says that they even need mentorship at that level of life,
Yeah.
at least the way we perceive success, like, what does that mean for us who's just trying to get it together or learn or grow?
Hey, listen, that's so real, bro. And again, I'm a visual person, right? So do y'all like steak? Y'all like to eat out? You know what I'm saying? Y'all like food, right? Now, me,
Absolutely.
I love to cook out. Like, I lose a little humility when it comes to me talking about food because I can really cook, bro. So here's the thing. So I want you to think about steak. If you just eat a steak and you don't put no seasoning on it, will you like it?
It's all right, but I put season on everything.
So
I
here's
need
my
a sauce.
thing. It's most likely you're not going to like it, but you still like steak,
Right.
right? So when I season my steak, the flavor is in the steak, which means the potential was already in the person.
Mm.
You just need somebody to help you bring that potential out. So the different seasonings that I put on the steak brings out different flavors that's already in the steak.
Hey, listen, hey,
So,
David, next podcast, we're gonna have Big Les come out here and cook a steak.
and you're gonna watch me put
Yeah.
and you're gonna watch me put different seasonings on there, right? Salt is one of them, pepper is one of them, garlic is one of them. You know what I'm saying? Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, whatever you want to put on it. Those are different flavors that you put on the steak to bring out the flavor. That's why Oprah got multiple mentors,
Yeah,
because
man.
different mentors bring out different abilities and potentials within her. Come on, somebody.
Yeah, yeah,
Come
man.
on.
That's a
That's
great
amazing.
point because so one of our programs that we do with with Modern Manhood is what we call Wellness 101. And we talk about how being healthy, being well is so much more than just can I get up, can I go to work, do I
Hmm.
have food? It's looking at the different dimensions that all of that matters. And so you do have spiritual wellness, you have your physical wellness, your financial wellness, your environmental wellness. And you made such a great point that all of those different things can have their own seasonings, and therefore they should all have their own places where you find inspiration and support.
Yeah.
And so mentors in those roles that may fit only in that particular space of your life can be really helpful. And because we get
Absolutely.
this idea that a mentor is this like all-encompassing person who
Mm-mm.
gets us together, and you know what I mean, and it doesn't look like that is what I'm hearing
Yeah.
from what you're sharing and what your experience has been.
Well, because one mentor may be a mentor for business. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? One mentor may be a mentor for marriage or family. Another one may be for like, you're trying to, build a shed in your backyard and you've never done it before. Like it could be multiple things. And I don't know one person who can do everything. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so like now I do believe in not having too many mentors, because I think mentors is a two-way street where you got to be highly relational, right? And so in my opinion, if I had 25 mentors, I don't know if I can balance 25 mentors,
Yeah.
right? I can't spend, I can't do life with 25. Now, it might be a lot of people that's inspiring me, but I'm talking about
Right.
mentoring, like
Right.
one-on-one intentional mentoring. So
And transparency.
yep. I think it's a certain thing of having too many though, too, though. It's
Absolutely.
my opinion.
Yeah, man, because that transparency is really important when it comes to actual mentorship, where you're being open about some of the most difficult challenges. There is times when like we do not want to show the raw version of who we are.
Yeah.
And I think for you, one thing that I noticed even about your the TED talk is that you are vulnerable with some of the most deep and intimate aspects of yourself, which
Yeah.
makes it easier for people to pour into because they know exactly what they're dealing with, right? But
Yeah.
you cannot, everyone can't have that type of access to you when it
Mm-mm.
comes to certain things, and especially in manhood, because you know, we as men, we like to be very mindful of what we share because we know it can be weaponized,
It
right?
can. Yeah.
If we're being honest, right? And so I had to give a quick shout out to Marcus Black because he's tapping. He said definitely have my personal counsel of mentors in various areas. It's a must. Do it because you
You
can.
can. What's up, M Black Speaks? What's up, baby? Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Tell us about where this space of mentorship meets for you as a dad, because you've talked about having two adult children now, right? They're
Yeah.
21 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
How do you engage in that space? Because as dads, you know, we naturally want to give our children everything we have,
Yeah.
but we also have to recognize that it's important to have other people and influences in their lives so that they can be well rounded. Tell us about that experience with with your own passion for what mentorship looks like
Yeah. Well,
and being a dad.
let's go back to what we talked about maybe 15, 20 minutes ago when you talked about how we want to fix everything. One thing I've learned is I need to let my kids be my kids. I need
Mm,
to let my kids be themselves. I need to let them live this life that God has created for them and let them be them. And so I think a lot of times we put too much pressure on our kids to perform for us,
yeah.
right? And so I'm gonna tell you, and hopefully this will help somebody. I used to always tell my kids, um, I expect for you to do greater things than me, greater things than your mama. I expect for you to do this. I expect you to do that. I expect for
Mm,
you to expect. And
Mhm.
it sounded good, but that was unhealthy
right.
because my walk and my son's walk is two different walks.
Right.
My wife's walk and my son's walk or our daughter's walk is two different walks. Right. And so it's
Mhm.
unhealthy for us to put all these expectations on them to perform.
Right.
They gotta want to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, hands off, brother.
Yeah.
My son has seen in me what I'm about. My daughter has seen like the steps that it's taken to get where I'm at, and they know the steps because we have real intimate, tough conversations. So
Yeah.
when my kids come to me, I'm there. But
Man, there's a
I don't force my way on them, is what I'm saying. So when you say what does it look like,
yeah.
my kids know the blueprint, but I let them be them, bro. And they know that mentorship is important to me. But what I'm not gonna do is hound them and say, you got a mentor, you got a mentor, you got a mentor yet? You know they help me, you help me. No, no. Daddy is here for you when you need me, and they do need me. We talk when it's tough, when it is a tough decision, my kids guarantee you they come to their daddy.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Man, there's power in releasing expectations. What
Yeah.
I noticed for
Mhm.
me, man, whenever I am enforcing that, is this projection. Because you're wanting your kids to lead a life that's beyond your flaws. And it's coming from a fear-based method
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
is not a reflection of wholeness. And my daughter had to tell me about that. She was like, "Daddy, I know you want me to be great, but you force all these expectations on me because of things you went through, and you don't realize
Mm.
I don't have a desire to go through that." And I was like, "Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right? Because I'm like, look, you've done well in all of your endeavors. You've had challenges, but it does not make you inadequate because you've had these challenges. Because no matter how much performance you do, it can never equate to your self worth.
Yeah.
And we're taught this in school from my upbringing. It's like if I have a poor grade, does that mean like I'm a terrible human being?
Exactly.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, like all of this is just part of life and teaching and growing. And ultimately, what we want is the best life for our kids and what God called them to. It can't be the best life that we want for them. right?
Right.
That's the thing. And like you said, we come from a place of fear. The mistakes we made, we don't want them to make those same mistakes. And man, hey, I just want my son and my daughter to be the best that they can be, the life that God has given them. Now I'm gonna keep climbing because I feel like our ceiling is their floor.
Mm.
The ceiling, how we climb is where our kids start, right? And so
Absolutely.
that doesn't mean that their climb is going to be just like ours.
Right.
But what it means is that I've unlocked. I'm gonna tell you something right quick. Y'all ready for this?
Well, I'm ready, bro.
I had
Come on.
someone was talking to me about money, and now this may challenge y'all thinking. I don't know. This is me, but I feel I need to say this. Like, I had someone asking me about money, and you know, you want to leave wealth, generational wealth to your kids, and all these things like that, which I truly believe in that 100%, and it's biblical. But here's the thing: my great grandma was poor. My grandma was poor. My mother was poor. My wife and I were not poor, right? And so, could the wealth be that through my wife and I climbing this life that we're climbing, we're trying to hit this ceiling because it's their floor? Could it be that the wealth that we're leaving our kids is unlocking their mind to their potential and taking this imaginary lid off to say that you can go be whatever you want to be in life?
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing, is like, I think a lot of times we get so caught up in, I gotta leave this money, I gotta leave this money, I gotta leave this money. But sometimes though, if I put a bow, if I put an arrow in a bow, it ain't gonna go anywhere if I don't pull it back.
Right.
You got to pull it back and release it. It ain't gonna go anywhere. So sometimes that wealth may be that I am pulling you back. I'll make sure getting this camera so y'all can see this. I'm pulling you back and I'm shooting you to the goal that God has for you in your life. That may be the wealth, because if I don't do the hard work and struggling of pulling back and releasing, it's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
So sometimes wealth can be the mental, emotional, and the physical part of their life, of understanding that there's more to my life and I can accomplish that, even though the world tells me that I can't. So I'm learning through my mind is that my wife and I, the work that we've done, when I look at my kids and I look at the fruit of their life right now, without bragging, they are doing amazing things.
Yeah.
But that's because the mom and dad climbed out the mud and released them and put in them the belief that they can accomplish.
Yeah.
So if I don't leave my kids $1 million, at least I freed their mind, bro.
That's the biggest thing.
Come on, somebody.
Listen, man, we can talk religion all day, but Jesus was impressed by faith. He could have been impressed by anything in the world. When I noticed, I was like, how is the creator of the whole universe impressed by faith and by belief?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Man, but we also got to be grateful for the opportunity to be in the Aquarius age, where we live in a time period where science is saying the way you think and the way you believe matters.
Yeah.
Right? In
100%.
earlier ages, they did amazing with what they had, the resources, tools, the combination being forced into certain conditioned belief systems where they didn't have as many freedoms and rights as we have, right?
Yeah.
And so right now, this time and period is so amazing, especially for this early generation. I love it that they allow themselves to not be subjected to beliefs that no longer serve them. Right. I believe when I got that realization for myself, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't have to subject myself to things that no longer serve me.
Come on
That-
now.
Right? That's
Yeah.
when my life changed.
Yeah.
Right? When I'm like, okay, God, I feel like I don't fit in. Perfect. I called you not to stand out. I called you to stand out. Okay, I can do
Oh,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
You know what
my
I'm
life
saying?
story right there, bro.
Yeah, man.
I think this is a beautiful segue into the work that you're doing in the community, because
Yeah.
you talk so passionately about being there, showing up, and growing for yourself, but for your family.
Yeah.
Talk about some of the works that you're doing in the community right now, because we know you wrote this book, right? We know you're doing that. We're watching you wearing this Oklahoma State hat, and we see it on your chest. You talk about,
Look on the
tell us about
card.
your podcast, and because we know you're on the mic at OSU. What does that mean?
Man, so the question is, I want to make sure I answer the question. What's the question?
The question is, we've been talking about how you've built this platform and this life based on mentorship and showing
Yes,
up.
sir. Yeah.
but I'm seeing and hearing about how you're showing up in bigger spaces in the community, like
Yes,
at
sir.
OSU. You're on the
Yeah.
mic there. You talk about your podcast. Tell us what this looks like for you.
Dude, listen, man, it's a dream. It's what my mom talked to me about when I was a kid. It's I'm gonna tell you this, man. When I think about what I do at OSU in front of all those people, one, I had a speech impediment as a kid. I had to take speech classes, bro.
That's
So like
crazy.
every time I'm on that microphone, I feel like God is getting a good laugh. Like, haha, the thing that was weak and the thing that people made fun of is the very thing I'm using. Come on, bro. Moses,
Moses.
bro. Right?
Yeah.
The second thing is, I'm gonna tell you this. I told my wife, I started this job in 2017. I told my wife this was like 2015. I knew the military because I was in the Air Force. I knew that was gonna be coming to the end. I was gonna retire at some point. And I told my wife, I said, man, I want to work for OSU. And she was like, really? She said, doing what? I said, I don't care. Now I'm gonna tell you this. This is real talk. I said, I don't care what I do for OSU. I just want OSU on my shirt. That's what I told my wife, right? So track me here. Check this out. She said, well, I mean, like, is there anything specific you want to do? Because at the time I'm an accountant, right? So I did accounting for 18 of the
I did
20
not know
years.
that.
Yeah, bro. Like I don't talk like it, act like it, walk like it. But yeah, accountants are usually like introverts. I'm definitely not introvert. But I did that for 18 of the 20 years. And I said, well, I know I don't want to do accounting. And this is what I told her. I said, babe, man, I don't care. Like I'll be a janitor. I'll clean the toilets in the restroom. Now, here's the thing. I'm not laughing because I'm serious. That's what I told her.
Right.
And so this is what I feel like, bro. I feel like God was like a man that has served his country, served doing Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, an accountant, at that time, an accomplished artist will clean some toilets.
Yeah.
That's a dude that I can trust to be in front of 60,000 people.
Yeah.
That's a dude that has the character to handle being in front of those people and not lose and forget who I am, him, who he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so when I think about that journey, I just think about, man, like that really came from a place of, I didn't ask for a microphone. I didn't ask for none of that. That came from a place of the humility that God had placed in me. And that came from mentorship, which was developed in the community. See, I'm about to answer your whole question.
That's powerful, man. God,
and so
man.
It's developed in the community because at that third level, I knew that first and second level was handled. But I have all this that I'm carrying. How do I impact the next generation? When I realized that I was called to impact the next generation, gave me an avenue to release the things that I learned at the first and second level, which landed me ultimately at OSU. Because the thing is, God is like, if you take care of my people, if you use your gifts, I'll take care of you.
Absolutely.
So like, I believe that God, one of the things God is doing with me on this earth is helping young people release the potential in them. Because those things that they said that I did as a kid, I did what they said I did, but I'm not who they say I am.
Absolutely.
I'm who God says I am, right? And so the community thing is, my heart is in the community. Where I serve is in the community. That comes first. So when I was retired from the Air Force, I knew immediately, like, all that time, that effort that I'm going to have free now because I'm going to be retiring, I want to give that to the community. So I had served running a mentoring program here on the east side, northeast side of Oklahoma City. I've been doing that for 13 years, bro. Millwood, Douglas, John Marshall. Yeah. Well, it used to be Northeast, but I did that for a long time. And
you recently left that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Recently, yeah. I was about to say that. Was it young? Was it Christian?
Yeah, Youth for Christ.
Youth for Christ. Okay,
so
yeah.
I was an area director for them, man. Along with
Cadence. Was Cadence in there too?
Yeah, so Cadence is the one who put me on like 10 years ago.
So I did that too, probably about 8 years ago.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great organization, bro. I mean, it's an organization where you're literally taking pizza and Jesus into the schools. Yep. Come on, somebody. You know what I'm saying? You feeding their stomach and you feeding their spirit. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot of my book and a lot of the I guess uh what I learned how to mentor and how to be mentored came through Youth for Christ, and a lot of that is in the book. This experience came through that, and that's because I've planted heavy in the community. And so here's the thing, you know, I'm not LeBron James at all. I'm a huge Laker fan, but LeBron James took his talents to Miami, right? Because he wanted to win some championships. Well, I live on the east side. I was born on the east side. I work in the community on the east side, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, I love where I'm at, but I want to be immersed on the east side, bro.
Yeah.
So I just recently joined up with my man Marcus again, bro. You
Yeah.
know, and so I'm gonna be helping that urban bridge, man.
Yeah. We
I'm
got. Yep.
we
Yeah,
gotta
we've been talking to him about getting up there, man. So we got some
That's
wellness
exciting.
programs
you got
that we
to
yeah, we
do it.
got to, bro. We
We
got
need
to.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you. We have to, man.
Yeah.
Because whenever I go over there and see, I'm like, oh, I was one of these little kids over here. Right?
Exactly.
And a lot of us are still sleeping until somebody unlocks their potential. Until then, we are still asleep, man. That's what I love. This is Jesus' ministry to me, man.
Yeah.
Because that's all God do is expose you to the inner divinity that you didn't even know was there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's exactly what he was doing. If we don't do that for our people, man, we doing them a disservice.
100%, bro. I mean, you got to go back. Here's the thing: the hood. We always learn, make it out the hood, make it out the hood. And I'm
Yeah,
like, no, not all of us need to leave, bro. We need to stay right here and help build the hood.
right,
And that's one thing I see with Marcus Jackson over at Urban Bridge. I'm like,
man.
you know what I'm saying? He is the East Side. I mean, come on, the dude was
Yeah,
his rap name was East Side
East
Drummer.
Side drummer.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
bro.
saying? Like,
Yeah,
and what he did was he said, instead of me making out the hood, I'm gonna plant here, I'm gonna put this community center and I'm gonna
yeah,
impact these young people. And like you said, we were them.
right, man.
We were them. And so now that they need that mentorship to help them get to where they want to be in life. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
All right, Damon, we got to wrap up, bro.
Love it.
What's good?
Full circle. That's beautiful, man. Les, there's so much more that you have to give, and we're just excited to really just like stand with you on that, man. I want to encourage everybody to definitely go out and check out his TED Talk. It is a beautiful moment that can be transformative for you. We already know that. Of
Thank you.
course, you can find his work at lesthomassenior.com, where you can get his book, Three Levels of Influence. Bro, tell us where else they can find your work and connect with you.
So man, Instagram is lesthomas.senior. If you want to connect with me on Instagram, if you want to do it as OSU, so my OSU Instagram is Les Go Pokes, LESGOPOKES. And then Les Thomas.senior. And then my Twitter is Bless the Mic with one S, BLESTHEMIC. Shoot, man, you can just hit me up on LesThomasSenior.com. Everything is there, man. And so hit your boy up. Would love to, you know, if you got some young people that you want me to come and talk to and just pour into them, let me know. I'm all about that right there, man. Right now, that motivational speaking and just impacting the next generation. Y'all hit me up. It's on there, man.
Beautiful,
Perfect, perfect,
beautiful.
perfect.
Yeah.
I go to the next slide. I feel like Damon usually does this, so I'm filling in.
How's it feel?
Tell him what we got going on next, Damon.
Yeah. So Modern Manhood, you guys, if you've been rolling with us, this is our third season, and we're really excited about what next year, 2023, is going to look like for us. Check out manhoodmasterclass.com so you can find some more information and roll with us. Also, we're excited about things coming up. Our podcast is just one of the initiatives that we find are our ways to giving back to the community and to helping men and communities grow and build better lives for ourselves, our families, and the community. So if you're not a part of our Facebook group, the Man Cave, then you need to connect with us, because there's always some great conversations going on in there, some motivation, and also some accountability. We like to hold each other to what we say we want to stand for. So check in on that. We've got over 500 guys in this group and growing on the daily. Also, we've got our live podcast, which you're listening to right now. If you're not sharing and liking and commenting, then we don't know you're here. So show up for us, because we're here to show up for the community. So we appreciate, of course, Les, for joining in on this conversation today.
Absolutely.
We've got some amazing programs coming up, guys. If you haven't been to our live masterclass experience, you need to get in. We've got it's an opportunity for us to really take a realistic look at ourselves and clarify our ideal vision of self, what we want life to look like. We get to explore what it looks like to walk through that apprehension and anxiety, and really show up on the other side with good mental health and wellness. And we're going to celebrate what life looks like for us. So it's always a dope experience. Check in for the next one, because it'll be coming up in the next quarter. All right, so a program from my heart is our Wellness 101 program. This is something where we felt like there has to be a time for us to sit down as a community. And this is not just for guys, this is for anybody who's over the age of 15 to really explore what our own personal health and wellness looks like. And this gives us an opportunity to think about and really put in the work in those different areas that we talked about today, like your financial wellness, your spiritual wellness, your environmental wellness, your physical wellness, all those things. And it's a fun experience that we're bringing to churches and to schools and to colleges and all these different communities. So tap in with us for that. Donnell, tell them about our sex education program.
Man, so listen, we got a sex education coming up that's going to be educating caregivers on how to have healthy conversations with our youth, man. And I'm excited about this program because it's needed. It is needed. We have Dope Dash University, all right? Dope Dash University. We have a board certified a curriculum, national certified curriculum that is literally diving into what we talked about as far as parenthood, how we can show up as better fathers. And then finally, we have our ACE training program is going to be headed with my brother, Dr. Damon, because let's be honest, man, unless we be able to tackle some of the traumas that we've dealt with in our livelihood, we will not be able to optimize and maximize our potential, all right? So we appreciate you guys tapping in with us today, man. Les, thank you so much for sharing and creating space for us, bro. I want to say first, I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for the work you're doing in the community, bro. Because of the work that you are doing, bro, it has allowed us to be able to push past the barriers that prevent us from living amazing lives, bro. So thank you for not just sharing your dreams, but also sharing your flaws and going out there and being what we need in this world, bro.
Absolutely.
Man, thank you so much for having me on Modern Manhood, bro. Like, I love what y'all doing. You know, man, we need help out there. You know, we need assistance. We can't do life alone. And what y'all brothers are bringing to the table is 1000% long overdue, needed in our community. So I appreciate y'all being the antidote, because it's one thing to talk about the problems all the time and not bring solutions. Y'all brothers are bringing solutions. So shout out to y'all, man, and salute, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys have an amazing Friday. Go out and be great, because that's what you were created to do. All right. We love you.
Because you
can.